Good morning, folks. Thank you as ever for tuning into the news at Ben. Now, as you might have noticed, you'd be blind if you haven't, I'm not in my usual environment, and I'm joined today, I'm very pleased to say, by Jim Ferguson. Good to see you again, Jim. And Jim's been all around Europe, and before I give you the great news of the mantle that Jim is prepared to take on behalf of Advance UK, perhaps, Jim, you could just say a little bit about what you've been up to in Europe, because Europe is a place, on the whole, I don't want to go typically. Mm-hmm. But you've been around a bit there.
I've been around a lot over the last few months, and of course, as we were both in the Brexit party together, we always told people we're not against European people. We're for Europe. We want Europe to be strong. But yes, I've been across. I was at the presidential elections with George Simeon in Romania. He's a great leader. He's doing a lot of work across Europe. He's uniting patriots from all over the continent.
So you went to Bucharest?
I went to Bucharest, yeah. He flew me in. He asked his team, asked if I would do it, because I'd been covering a lot of the work that had been involved with that, and then they saw it and they reached out to me.
And what was his view? Sorry to...
What
was his view on the way the election was conducted in the end? Because there was that awful situation, wasn't there, where someone who we regard perhaps as from our side of the debate actually won the first round, and then the European Union claimed that the election hadn't been fair, and they cancelled it, and he was removed as a candidate. Can you explain to people what happened?
They used lawfare against Kalin Georgescu, who was the rightful president. I mean, they stopped him. So George Simeon stood up, he rose up, and he said, I'm going to fight. And of course, there was a lot of election interference going on by Macron in Brussels, in France.
To make sure they got the right democratic result.
Absolutely, yes. But they used fear. They used propaganda. There's no question of it. We all know the psychological operations that are very real. However, the Cursor Dan is not getting on terribly well. He's in all sorts of trouble already. So he's a globalist. He's somebody that really is in the sort of within the Brussels framework. Instead of a true patriot putting Romanian people first. And that's the big problem. And now they're looking to put in mass illegal immigration to Romania. And Romania and Hungary and Poland and Moldova, these are strong family traditions, strong culture, strong faith, and not much in the way of illegal immigration going on there at all. Yeah. And that was evident when I went to Poland as well. But to go back to your point, there's a lot of things happening in Europe. It's very, very good, and there's a lot of interest being shown by our friends across the pond in the United States as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually often said that for the United Kingdom to be a proud independent state, we need France to be a proud independent state. We need Germany to be a proud independent state. Italy, Greece, they all need to reconnect with their fundamental cultural roots and become countries again, because the European Union, of course, stands against nation states. It's removed their borders, the Schengen zone. And it's all, obviously, as you and I know, and I'm sure everyone watching pretty much knows, it's with the aim of removing nation states. It's basically anti-nation state. Yeah. It's therefore anti the people of those countries. It's anti-democratic. Absolutely. They want to rip power away from the people and put it in the European Union. Which is why we become the bad boys of Europe.
Well, I was the official speaker in Moldova, and I was talking about the importance of European unity, but I was also talking about the dangers and why mass illegal immigration was occurring and what we should do about it. But you talk about France, just about 7 or 8 weeks ago, I was invited to the National Assembly in France, and I met Marine Le Pen and had a great conversation with her and very, very senior members of the National Assembly in France, members of Parliament there. And they're great people. I have a real deep affection for the French and many of the other European nations as well. I mean, I've met so many of the German MPs and members of the European Parliament in my travels over the last few months. So there's a real momentum building, and it is palpable, and we see that. And the election of Karol Kowalski in Poland as the new president there is quite literally dynamite. And we were there with a delegation, there would have been about 80 of us from over 40 different countries, marching through the street, with thousands and thousands of Polish patriots lining the way. And once again, I was walking along with George Simeon, and there was people recognising him, coming over, shaking his hand.
In Poland.
In Poland.
Yeah, they recognise the Romanian candidate.
Yeah, because he has the dynamic way of going about it, a little bit like yourself here in the UK. So I think this is where, and I appreciate Advance UK's new party, but already it's gotten off to such an incredible start.
Well, it has had an incredible start. But before we come back, can I just talk a bit about Marine Le Pen? You know, obviously she's been in the news recently, hasn't she? And I wanted to ask, what's your view of the apparent allegations made against her? Is this another form of lawfare being used to bring her down, or is there something there against Marine Le Pen about which viewers should be aware?
Absolutely. There is a lot of lawfare going on, and what's unfair about it is that they're only doing this to her, and there were other people on the other side who had been accused of different things, but they didn't go after them or prevent them from standing. They're worried about Marine Le Pen because she's a strong French patriot that loves her people and loves France. But she's a real courageous French lady. She isn't taking it lying down. And I got a lot of information, and I had a lot of discussions with very senior members within the National Assembly framework, people like Frederic Pierre Vos, and members of his team, and once again members of the French Parliament. So there's a real fight back being prepared there. And once again, the work that I've been doing is in support of our friends across Europe to strengthen their democracy, and strengthen this, and to strengthen the patriotic alliances that are forming. It's very encouraging to see. Yeah,
good. And do you think, sorry for these sort of rapid fire questions, but do you think that, because I'm wrestling with it, actually I'm not wrestling much with it because I think I know the answer, but I'd be very interested in what you have to say on the subject, Jim, is, you know, I look at the political landscape in Europe, and there's as you say, a rising movement for the re-establishment of nation states in the way that we used to remember them. Is that possible, given how far Europe has gone in terms of its integration and also its basic proportional representation form of governance, which prohibits Marine Le Pen, you know, becoming an outright leader of France? She would have to do some kind of deal with some other party or whatever to gain the position. Nawrocki is interesting in Poland from my perspective, because in the general election which returned Tusk, who's a Europhile, and, you know, the devil in my books, Tusk, he's the one who said that there's a special place in hell for Brexiteers. Do you remember?
I remember it only too well.
But he won that general election, again, because there was a coalition that he formed. The popular vote was won by Nawrocki's party, the Law and Justice Party, wasn't it? But the presidential vote is much more binary, and so he just got through. But do you think there's a chance of nation states re-establishing themselves through the democratic process, given proportional representation, and also the grip that the EU has, like, for example, cancelling the first round of elections in Romania? How do you see the prognosis for Europe?
Well, there's a multifaceted answer to that, and I'll try to keep it brief and clear. First of all, yes is the answer to, can we save Europe? Can we save the United Kingdom? Yes, absolutely we can. But there's a lot of hard work to be done. And we can't do it in isolation. We have to work together with our friends across the world, actually. Then, of course, there is the counter global media, sort of mainstream media narrative. Those of us that are in independent media are winning the information war. And of what we saw, going back briefly to the Romanian election, they used fear. They used false reporting about what George Simeon was going to do as president. He was going to take them out of the European Union, and he was going to do all of these different things. And that worried some of the people because of the loss of funding. I understand that. There are a lot of people that say the European Union itself isn't the problem, it's the Commission, the unelected bureaucrats that won't allow the lawmakers, the duly elected lawmakers, to pass the laws. And that's the problem I have with the EU Commission. It's why we fought against them in the Brexit referendum. But the thing is, that leadership that's currently there, Ursula von der Leyen, I mean, Donald Tusk, you talk about, well, Ursula von der Leyen, Madame Lagarde, these people are, in my opinion, not helpful to the democratic voices of the peoples of Europe, and we need better leadership into those institutions. But in the United Kingdom, although we're no longer part of the European Union, we still have a role to play. We have trade agreements, we have alliances, we have defence pacts, we have all sorts of things that are on a mutual basis that support one another.
Yeah, I mean that's what I say as well. What we've got to do is come together as proud independent states for cooperation, as opposed to merging with other nation states. There's no need to merge.
None.
We can cooperate independently. Yeah. And anyway, let's hope we can do that. But I'm very pleased, before we came on camera, I was very pleased to briefly discuss with you what we've just discussed and the importance of Advance UK embedding itself, if you like, in a network of like-minded European political movements and, with politicians all making the same case. And we've got to do the same in the States, by the way, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Advance UK's got to make that trip across the pond when we're able to do it and garner support in America, because I think it is the protective blanket of the United States of America.
Absolutely.
And the agenda that it's now driving, which is so in keeping with Advance UK's, and the one that all of Europe so desperately needs. J.D. Vance says it exactly, in my mind, as it should be said. But coming back to the point, before we came on camera, we had a brief discussion, and I'm very pleased to say that you've accepted the role as Advance UK's international ambassador to forge these relationships across Europe and in due course within the States, because you've actually got good relations in the States too already, haven't you, Jim?
Well, yes, there's been a lot of contact with our friends across in America, some of them at a very senior level. Even over the last 4 months, we've had so much contact, and I've met so many, and once again met more that I hadn't met previously just within the last 3 to 4 days in Warsaw, Poland. So we're
a strong Polish-American link, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've got, Jack Posabiec was there, a very well-known American influencer. I became good friends with him and his brother. We hung out together in Budapest when we were at CPAC, and he takes a big interest in British politics and Irish politics and European politics, and he's always there supporting what we're doing. So there's a lot of contact being going on. It's possible I'll be heading over to Washington DC for some other things to do with that, and of course this is a very great honour for me, and I thank you very much indeed. It's a huge honour.
With every honour comes a huge burden.
Yes, I know. And I said before camera, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And I know that you will be a hard taskmaster, Ben, as you always have been, but fair. And I'm very much looking forward to working with you and Advance UK on that role.
Yeah. So am I. Likewise, Jim, and I'm very grateful to you for taking on this role.
Sure.
For joining the college. I think you were the first announcement that we made on the college. Yeah. Since then, I can very proudly say that we've got over 26,000 supporters now. Wow. We are less than 7 weeks old, and we have got 26,000 supporters, 18,500 fully paid up members, and donors beyond. So we are rapidly becoming a fighting force, and
it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And people say, well, are you going to split the right wing vote? Well, it's not about the right wing vote. It's about actually having a genuine party that believes in this country, that will deliver the nation state, deliver our Christian constitution, protect freedom of speech, reintroduce freedom of speech and protect it, stand by our democracy, empower our politicians at the expense of institutions like the EU and domestic quangos, and equality under the law. These are 4 basic things in which most political parties in this country, as far as I can see, don't believe. And so I think we've been pushing against an open door with the British people, which is why our membership's gone up so much.
The feedback, honestly, I've been getting, even from other events that I attended today, was massive. I bumped into so many Advance UK members there.
Did you?
I did, honestly, I really did. Yeah. And I won't mention their names on camera, but I know who they are.
Good. Well, I'm heading over to that event now.
Okay, well, they'll see you there. But no, I must admit, that is an incredible, because when I had arranged to come down to see you before you launched the party, and then you launched it, and of course we did the interview a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But even within a few days, you were...
Oh, it was remarkable.
It was remarkable.
It was remarkable. I mean, you never know what it's like over the top until you've gone over the top. But it's been good, and I think that we are going to be an established part of the political fabric.
Well, the other thing that's unique to Advance UK is that Ben Habib is about to be £100,000 out of pocket, because you're going to be putting your own money where your mouth is. I mean, £100,000 into Advance UK when you hit that trigger of 30,000 new members. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah, and I think it's important to do it. I'm sick and tired of the old form of politics where people say they're going to represent the people but don't stand shoulder to shoulder. Now, what better way to stand shoulder to shoulder with your membership than to actually put your money where they put their money, into the party, so we can deliver for the country. And I know all of you, you and your fellow college members, are absolutely putting your backbone into this. And as our college grows, our voice will grow. As our membership grows, our voice will grow. And well, by the way, I can perhaps give a little taster. We have got lots of people wanting to join the party who've already holding office. So there are good things happening about which we'll be making future releases. Anyway, Jim, thank you very much for accepting this role. Thank you very much for everything you do, and let's go and save the United Kingdom.
Absolutely, Ben. Well, my pleasure, and thank you to everybody that's listening. It's appreciated.
Thank you.